just a minute.
Good morning and welcome to the program this morning. I trust that all of you are well and that you are experiencing and enjoying the goodness of God. That is a good thing for me to wish for you. More than a wish, I really do pray and trust that that is what you are experiencing. This morning we have with us, of course, now she has become, I said it before, but yes, she's established on this program now. She is going to be with us not just on the third Friday, but a lot of the times whenever I could just grab her from her busy schedule. I'm really glad that Dr. Nixon is here with us today. Dr. Nixon, good morning.
Good morning, Rev, and good morning to all of Grenada on this another fabulously hot day.
Yeah. Yes, I know, right?
There's nothing
Yes.
else we can say. It's hot, and we have to become accustomed with this heat. You know, I still we have to remember to drink water, but please boil the water because the water I've seen coming out of the pipe is not fit for human consumption. I mean, not even fit for me to put in my contact lens. There's just so much dust in the water. So we talked about our health and making sure that we drink a lot of water, but it must be good water. It's not any and any water,
Right.
right? And remember to look out for those who are most vulnerable, who can't speak for themselves, who can't take care of themselves, who need to be assisted in everything they do, the elderly, the disabled, mentally, physically, and the very young, who can't ask you for a glass of water. Remember also that older people tend not to drink. Naturally, in this weather, you have to drink. Make sure the room is cool. Put a bucket of water if you have a fan in there. Sometimes that helps to cool down the room, right? For your children. I know we think that our newborns can't have to be in romper and vest and hat and socks and sweater. No, it's hot.
But
Okay?
maybe we should go, Doc, into a little bit more of that. I mean, I know it wasn't really planned in the program, but I don't believe anything said is a waste of time. Certainly not on this
No, it's
program.
not.
So even as you mentioned it, let's go a little bit slower and just identify first, although you mentioned it, but let's take it a little slower. Those that we are considering or that we know to be the
Most vulnerable.
right? So let's just go back to that a little bit, and then let's go into some of those tips that you were giving, but in more detail that we can do to deal with the heat because it's really, really, really hot. Yeah.
Yes. So it's hot. It's very hot. It's very humid. There's a lot of water in the atmosphere. We have to make sure that we rehydrate, right? We put back water, hydrate to put water into. So we have to rehydrate ourselves. Your body has a certain balance that it keeps, that makes you feel strong, that makes your heart work, that makes you wink your eyes, that make things your muscles in good condition to take care. That gives you, energy to do the stuff you want to do. When we get very hot, our blood vessels tend to dilate. It get wider so that you'll have more blood flow into your skin to cool you down. Right? Most of us don't have control over the heat. No, we don't. We don't work in air-conditioned offices, or we don't have even a fan in our houses. We don't have AC at home. So we have to find ways.
Yeah.
Wear light clothing. Wear as light as possible, preferably cotton clothing, right? Light colored clothing to keep, to not attract more heat and
Linen, can linen work too?
Linen, light linen, light cotton, and even our children. Yeah, you may have children with that sandflies are bad. They can wear little tights, but not. It must be cotton, right? Remember to look out for the people who can't take care of themselves, the people who are almost totally or totally dependent on somebody else. Okay, the elderly who sometimes can't reach a glass of water or can't go to the kitchen for a glass of water, or maybe can help themselves by the bedside. Put it there, put it in a plastic bottle. I don't really like plastic, but plastic is easier to lift, right? Keep it, if you had it in the fridge, you're going out in the day, your mother is there, she probably can help herself around a little. Do bottles of water so she doesn't have to go to the kitchen and and take it to the fridge and pour it out and all the rest. Make it convenient and make it safe, right? Our children going to school, give them a little extra water to take to school. Right? Teachers, I hope, are helping the little ones to drink as much as possible. And like I said, the other disabled, mentally disabled and stuff, we have to provide water for them day and night because it's hot. It's hot in the night. If you can open a window, I know we have a lot of mosquitoes, but if you have mesh outside the window, keep the windows open, keep the fan going. Your child is not necessarily going to get a cold because of fan blowing. Blow the fan above him so at least you can circulate the air, but you often need to have a window from which his air comes through the fan and is able to circulate in the room. So
Right.
making sure, but drinking is important. And sometimes we need a little bit of electrolytes that have like with the sodium and stuff. Because you
Mhm.
know, when you sweat profusely, it tastes that's what it tastes salty. It means that you need to put back in a little bit of salt, which the you can get from coconut water, all those electrolytes, those different salts, right? That exist that keep your muscles properly contracted, just as it needs to be. So make sure you can get some coconut water,
Mhm.
right? Um, and drink. You have to drink throughout the day. Drink as much as you can tolerate. We used to say, oh, drink 6 or 8. Drink as much as you can tolerate. All
Right.
right. Make sure you bathe your children in room temperature water. Even room temperature water is a little hot. Some people cannot
Yes.
use the water in the pipe, especially like in the midday where you have metal pipes and they get very hot. All right.
Mhm.
So bathe your children early in the morning or later in the afternoon. Keep as close as possible. Make sure
Right.
that the place, and you really just have to work at being cool and having enough fluids on board. The other
Mhm.
thing I was saying earlier is that you have to boil the water from the pipe. Not everybody can afford bottled water. Boil
Mhm.
mean boil for like 5, 10 minutes. So you put in a pot of water on the stove, the cold pot, I don't care where you boil it, and boil and boil and boil and boil. Because there's a lot of particulate dust in the water. That's stuff
Right.
that comes from the atmosphere. Our water, Nawasa gets water from surface water. That's where we get it from, the rivers, the lake and stuff. So everything that's in the atmosphere is likely to come there. When
Mhm.
there's a lot of Sahara dust and other dust from the heat and dust from the land that blows up goes into the water, you may find that you have that particulate matter settling in your water. But particulate matter might have other things like bacteria and other things that you really want to make sure that you kill them by boiling the water appropriately. Because
Right.
gastroenteritis, we don't want that as a result of just trying to rehydrate ourselves.
Right. Right. Okay. Exercise for people, because of course exercise is always good, but with this heat, what would you say to persons who really are into the exercising still? Which I mean is anyway. Yeah.
I'd say stick to it as far as possible. It's hotter, so you're gonna heat up a lot faster. Drink your water, drink your coconut water, whatever rehydration fluids you lose. So you use. Some people um use sports drinks. Be careful of that because it has a lot of sugar. Most of them
Mm.
have a lot of sugar, but be careful. But choose times when there is not much sunshine, right? Even though some of those times it's really still very, very hot because I've
Yep.
experienced some very humid nights. So
Mhm.
be careful. If you get out there and it's unbearable, just stop. I mean, you're
Yes.
gonna have to stop in the interest of
Okay.
your well-being.
Right. Last question as it relates to the heat. Ladies in menopause. For real. I mean, I need that advice right now
Mhm. Well,
because
I wish
Jesus,
I could stop the menopause syndrome.
I
Look,
know,
be
right?
aware.
But
Be
with that,
aware. Yeah, be aware. You still have to cool your environment, even more than
mhm,
others. And that thing that's so there's not even a word for that. There's a word in Spanish that says súbito, just sudden and come down on you like a crisis,
mhm,
right? Um, if you have medication that you take that help you control your heat regulation, do that. Drink your water, have a little fan. So there's some little fans with water that spray water, you know that? Handheld fans. They have a bottle in the bottom and a little water.
uh,
We have to get creative because guess what? This is climate change and it's here to stay for a long time. We might get a
mhm,
little rain and get a little better. I mean, when the winter months in North America, it might get a little cooler. But I don't know that we're going back to 1920.
mhm, mhm.
There's one other thing. The truth is, between the hours of 11 and 2, which are the hottest hours of the day as per the sunlight, people really shouldn't be outside for more than 15 minutes. I guess our labor movement is going to have to look at this as change comes. So if you work as a builder, you probably want to go to work 6 o'clock in the morning, and by the
Mhm.
time 11 o'clock, you've done more, a substantial amount of work because it is unfair to ask people to stay out in the sun and put on a roof, a galvanized roof on a house, or
Mhm.
to mix in concrete, or to be out there doing whatever, do co-work. I mean, putting on thing on your car, whatever it is that takes you, or they're cleaning the drains, whatever. We are going to have to change the hours we work and make it more 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 amicable, more friendly for the people who are doing the work, you know.
But then you'll have to bring this into education as well, because you remember games, when you have
Education
physical
and the
education,
law, our labor laws are going to have that
have
kind
to
of
change to
flexibility.
facilitate,
Yes.
yeah. Because you have children, you have games. I mean, I was a teacher for a lot of years in the public school system, and you have games in the well, you know, the time that you have physical education out in the sun, and then you'll say, oh well, walk with extra water or walk with a hat. With this heat, that
No,
is not
I
going
don't
to cut
think,
it. It's either we have internal gyms or something, but without a doubt,
guess what? We can stand up in the classroom and sing song and clap hand and make noise and be happy and have some exercise. We don't necessarily we're going to have to adjust.
we
You know,
have to.
because children put the chairs in the middle, everybody play ring around roses, they play clap hand games, dancing games, do stuff. There are other things to do. Sing, just animate the kids, because that's part of the reason why we exercise. Um, unless you're gonna send your child at 7 o'clock and there's nobody in school at 7 o'clock.
Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
going to have we're going to have to make practical adjustments to this whole climate change thing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So today, we have so much to talk about. We on the last program we were talking about the front of package labeling, and I know you had mentioned that there was some activity coming up. That is why we were already talking and raising the awareness. I hope you don't mind me asking you, how did that go?
So let me just do a little background so people who have not
Sure.
heard this before.
Yes.
So our challenge is chronic disease. Our challenge is non-communicable challenge disease. Our challenge is obesity in our children, which goes into adulthood, and the diseases that they are causing. This is not us saying, well, maybe if my child is fat now, he will grow up fat, and then, boy, fat people look like they have more hypertension or more diabetes or more cancers. The statistics are there to prove that obesity is probably one of the biggest risk factors, one of one of the things that's most likely to make you develop some of the diseases. Plus, we consume a lot of salt. You're not supposed to consume more than a teaspoon of salt for over 24 hours. We talked about that, right? We do
Yeah.
consume a whole lot of salt. Um, so we know that these practices actually put us at risk, predispose us to having the chronic diseases. And one of them, there are many things that have been done. You've heard about ban on sugar sweetened beverages in school, right? Like the sodas and the sweet drinks and stuff that we buy in the supermarket, that you're not supposed to nor carry them nor sell them in the schools. And that is in the interest of our children. Drinking water is not a crime yet and never will be.
Yeah.
Okay. We've had the cow has a nutrient profile. What should be contained, average of what should be in a any food that we feed our children. I'll tell you, and I don't know if I told you this the last time, when many countries started adopting the whole practice of no sugar sweetened beverages in schools, children spend a long time there. And it's hot now, so they will probably drink 3 sodas instead of 2, right? When the countries were adopting and say, in our schools, we have it, there'll be no sugar sweetened beverages. And it's law. Ours is not law as yet, okay? The manufacturers of sugar sweetened beverages moved to artificial sweeteners because it's a challenge, okay? Sugar as a sweetener is a challenge. We know that sugar makes you fat. Sugar makes you fat, okay? Sugar, carbohydrates make you fat. Excess of carbohydrates will make you fat. Carbohydrates are sugars and starches. And you say, but I eat banana, eat breadfruit and stuff. That's healthy. Yeah, but you can't eat the whole bananas, the whole
Yeah.
Hana banana, right? Um, the, the manufacturers went ahead and started putting aspartame, which is one of the sweeteners, the artificial energy. The World Health Organization has decreed that our children, it is illegal to give our children sugar sweetened, artificially sweetened drinks,
Right.
because we know that those drinks, that those compounds, like the aspartame and others that they use as sweetener, aspartame I'm saying because it's the most frequently used one, right? Actually are cancer causing agents. Tell me why I want to go to my 3-year-old,
I
or
know,
my
right?
2-year-old, or my 10-year-old, or even my 15-year-old. Why would I want to ignite, especially since so many of us have that predisposition, because a lot of us have family who have genes, who have cancer. So the World Health Organization has made it very clear that aspartame is not to be sold for the use of children. Aspartame sweetened drinks is not to be provided for the quenching the thirst or entertainment of our children. So you can have whatever light, sugar-free um, orange juice or whatever they call it. I don't know the names of those stuff. But what I'm saying, you can't have that at your children's birthday party, not even privately, because we're asking that our children do not consume drinks that are sweetened with aspartame. But moving ahead, there are some foods that you buy. We have all these ultra processed foods that are highly processed, and we give it to our kids with biscuits and cookies and snacks, especially snacks, and um flour and pasta. I don't know why every time I say pasta, I hate it a little more, because no, because it seems innocuous, but it's bad for us. It's just flour
Flour, yeah.
with
Yeah.
water. When you look at pasta being made by the Italians on TV, they put egg and stuff in there,
No,
and they eat
those that we
and
get now.
and no, and they put 2 tablespoons, and they serve 2 tablespoons, and that's their dinner. Here we just make a whole lot of pasta with whatever meat we're gonna have it. We've taken away the fruits and the vegetables from our children's, and because of cost and because of time and because of convenience. So I'm not bashing people. I'm just asking that we be a little more aware that while we find an easy way out, we have to make sure that the easy way is wholesome.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can soak your peas the night before and come home and cook a little stew peas with some green banana and piece of yam or a little bit of rice, but you don't have to give your child all of the rice paddy rice. We have to look at volumes. So when you go to the store, if you turn your package to the back, nobody does that. Oh, I like this, right? What a pretty box, because they put all these fabulous cartoon characters on the cereal. Who makes cornmeal porridge for their children? Nobody does. Oh, it takes too much time, but it's wholesome. Who make oatmeal porridge or a little bit of cream of wheat for their children, instead of giving them just pouring out Lucky Charms or um Cheerios, the sweet Cheerios, I don't know how you call them, that have a lot of
Honey nut Cheerios.
honey my
Yeah.
foot, honey nut Cheerios. Look and see what's
But
on the
there's no
box,
honey. Yeah.
right? So they have a lot of sugar, and then you put a little bit of milk in there, and you think that's a healthy meal for your children. But what you forget is that that is high in sugars, right? Or when you're giving our children sausages and other stuff, they're high in fat and they're high in salt. So the suggestion is that we have these octagonal, 8-sided figures that look like a stop sign that says high in fat, high in sugar, high in unsaturated fats, high in sugars, I said, high in salt, as is needed, put on the front of labels, because what they do is detain the person a little. It
Yeah.
distracts and it detains you, you read, right? And you'd be surprised that when you put the packages on those foods, right? When you put the labels on those foods, people don't buy them, even if that bought them yesterday when they didn't have the labels, right? Or if they're buying it, they're doing it with some level of knowledge,
Yeah.
okay? Right? They're consenting based on the fact that they have knowledge. Like, I'm going to eat this anyways, so it's your responsibility if you want to eat sugar sweetened stuff. CARICOM years ago, 2014 or something. I don't remember the year, 17, but it's not last week. Actually approved that there should be standards for labeling our packages in the Caribbean region, the countries within CARICOM, and that front of package labeling will be a great way to alert people. Because sometimes you go to the supermarket and when you turn the package, you just can't read what's there because it's written in using different characters. Because guess what? That currently is not illegal, because we don't have a law that says that you must have back of package labeling, that, nutrition labeling at the back, and it must be legible. There's no law here in CARICOM, as far as I know, that governs nutrition labeling. So if somebody wants to tell you, they have to tell you what's in there. Say they want to tell you it's cornmeal, sugar, lecithin, yellow number, X color, whatever, that's all right. But they don't have to tell you what quantity or what nutritional value a cup or 2 pounds or half an ounce or a drop has. They don't have to do that. So what the front of package labeling and that octagonal sign says is, hey, I know you'd like to get this, but it's high in sugar, high in fat, high in salt, whatever is not good for us. Right? I want to show you a sign. Let me see if I can find a decent sign. This is kind of what the sign would look like. Yes. This one says high in sugar. Okay. So you get to the supermarket and says, oh, I've been buying this to my grandkid every weekend. I come in town, I buy him a pack of biscuit. I don't know, whatever. But this has a lot of sugar. Oh, am I doing right?
Yeah.
So the conflict says this is high in sugar because it's a carbohydrate, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not sweet, it's a carb. High in sugar and high in sodium. This says high in sugars. And you know them yogurt, pretty yogurt thing. And this chocolate milk, it says high in saturated fats and high in sugars. So you go and and of course there'll be a lot of information shared with John public about what these things are. Okay, so every country, every territory within CARICOM is supposed to come to an agreement, supposed to have the population thought and understanding of this is supposed to be reflected in what is a voting session. And when you have those in casting a vote for yes or no, that we want this in our environment, we want this as a means of keeping our population healthy or giving our population the opportunity to make informed choices, right? Because after you've thought about it, you make a decision, yes or no, I'm not going to buy this product, all right? But even if you buy it, you're informed that this is what you're taking. So we're supposed to have a vote, yay or nay, in relation, or you can also abstain. Countries can also abstain, yay or nay, in relation to this vote. So we're supposed to have stakeholders, and the stakeholders are supposed to represent across the board. So the religious community, faith-based organizations, health organization, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture, everybody who has to do with these products, their presence in the community, Ministry of Education, certainly, consumer bodies, everybody, because, and industry in our case, because we don't do auto manufacturing, we manufacture like sodas and we manufacture like alcoholic beverages, right? So things that children consume will be malt and sweet drinks that we buy and stuff, right? But yogurt and juices and stuff that we buy for children do have a lot of sugar, but you want to indicate to parents, here's what it is. They can then turn the back and see how much is there, right? For serving. But we want that people be alerted. It's already been established that that is the other methods, other standards you can use. In the UK, for example, they use the stoplight, red, green, and yellow, right? Oh no, this is really bad here. And then the yellow is like, well, be cautious. And then the green, you can go ahead, this is fine.
Go ahead. Right.
So Grenada, like every other territory, is supposed to vote yay, nay, or abstain in relation to this. We had 3 weeks within which to deliberate that. I don't know of any public deliberation to date. There has been none. I know that there some individuals who have been chosen as stakeholders to vote. In my opinion, they do not represent all of Grenada. Okay? Because there's nobody who represents my grandchild.
Right.
There's nobody who represents me and my colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's
Because
nobody who represents the religious community, which is
certainly
so
not,
very
because nobody
important.
came to us.
It bothers me, and I'm speaking for Sonia Nixon. Sonia Nixon. It bothers me that with 3 days to go before the conclusion and coming to a decision, that the public has not been made aware and invited to vote, but a handful of people who mostly appear to represent industry. Like I said, people who distribute and people who manufacture. Right? I hope that common sense will prevail in the interest of the Grenadian people. We have 3 days so we can make our consciences work for us, and that we will vote yes. Grenada voted no the last time.
Wow.
That they don't want it.
Wow.
And that is very unfortunate. And if we were to vote no again, that will not be very embarrassing.
Wow.
So I hope that the people who have been given the responsibility to vote on this go beyond what their needs. And I do understand the point of view of industry in relation to their pockets, but I think we need to consider
people
the
before
people
profit.
who put money into our pockets. Right? People before profits was a thing. We will make profits, yes, we will make money. This is going to become a universal thing, right? It is going to become a universal thing. I'll tell you what, Mexico just went ahead and put it on the government says, we're doing front of package label. So last week, it appeared on all of the products. And there are times, okay, there will be a time, an interim period when people will understand, that will educate John public, and the people who are manufacturers and distributors will have enough time to change over. We change, was it you who talk about we change plastic bags? We change use of plastic bags, right? So I really hope, and I think we should pray, and I hope the consciences of the people who will vote on this would lead them to what is fair, what is transparent, what is fair, and what is most compatible with the well-being of our Grenadian population.
Wow.
This is a time to be responsible in a very social and moral way. So we have until the 12th. Let's hear. There's a campaign. I know there's a letter sent out to the to like heads of governments and stuff from the central group, who is concerned that we have, nothing is yet said. In Grenada, they actually suspended the vote pending clarity on, I guess, on the stakeholders, but I don't know if any new stakeholders being accosted.
Well, we need to note, however, that at the recording of this program, today's recording is the 11th. So even while we are speaking today and we are calling these dates, we would have to let our viewers and listeners know that now that you are viewing this program right now, as we are speaking, today is the day that you are going to be viewing this program, which is today, is the day that the final deliberations actually will be made, today, the 14th. But of course, this program is being pre-recorded. So, but what I would like to say is that regardless of where the vote goes, we know where we want, what is sensible, but wherever it goes, I do believe that this is something, and just the whole food awareness, it all comes inside of the whole food security issue that we are talking about, and everybody's talking about the same climate change and every other thing that is going on in the earth today.
So we have to also see what influences are embraced. People who sell things that quickly to make money, usually put pretty packaging, and when you step into the supermarket, the first thing you see is, think about it. You step in the supermarket, you should always go left. Because left is vegetables, fruit, dairy, and then you go down to dairy, and then you have frozen stuff at the back and so. But a lot of people go to right because most of us are right-handed. But right is candies, alcohol, highly processed foods, all the biscuits, all the cheese curls, all of those stuff. That's what we find on the right. The other thing is that adults are going to have to make decisions as to how we feed our children, because our children usually tell parents what they like, what they want. So they go and they get the basket filled with all of the stuff that they like, and that's okay, right? I mean, I'm not quarreling with the kids, but we have to be informed parents and adults and decision makers if we're the ones responsible for the well-being of our children.
Definitely.
I really hope that this front of package warning, the octagonal label, is considered and is accepted as a method of educating our population, right? Like I tell you, the Mexicans actually banned, they taxed sodas, right? They taxed sodas a few years ago. People live in Mexico City, live way up in the hills, but the water is very bad. They get a lot of problems with the water, a lot of chronic abdominal, intestinal problems. They tax the water. They tax the sugar sweetened beverages. The consumption dropped. Obesity in children dropped significantly. Right? So this is not because we want to make noise. A public health person and the people who have genuine interest in the well-being of our population. This is because we want to make sure that our population lives what their promised life is.
Right.
At least 70. Because even in the health sector, the World Health Organization tell you if you die before 70, you have died prematurely. I worry because I see on TV, when you look at the obituary, I see so many young people.
Yeah.
Young, and I think 50s is young. Because I'm saying, woo.
And it wasn't because of an accident.
Nor do we have Hamas dropping bombs in our place.
Exactly.
We're not at war. Okay? We're not at war. We don't have conflicts. We don't have men running in the streets in the night doing home invasions and all that. So we have some violence, but we don't have that kind of violence that causes young people to die.
So then it's lifestyle practices.
It's lifestyle, and lifestyles can be changed, and you can have modification of the state of your health. It's not, again, one of my favorite saying is never too late for a shower of rain.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see how we're gonna do this. And this has to be a decision for all of Grenada. So I'm gonna ask the voters to remember the entire population. You know that dead people don't buy nothing, right?
At all.
Not even their coffin.
And the people who are sick are not focused on all the things for sure they won't be buying it then. They'll be spending every dollar on trying to make themselves better. Right? On that note, Dr. Nixon, let's take a quick break and we are going to be right back. When we come back, I'd like us to please talk about breast cancer, because I know this is cancer and this is cancer awareness untimely. Yes. So when we come back from the break, let's talk about that a little bit with the little bit of time that we have left.
Okay.
You are my strength. Going through a storm, but I won't go down. I hear your voice carried in the rhythm of the wind to call me out. You've never been closer than you are right now. Let's sing it out, y'all. You are my strength.
And we are back. So for those of you who are just joining us, I am chatting today with Dr. Nixon. Just before the break, we had a really in-depth discussion on the front of package labeling, as well as just some tips and so for the weather that we are having. And with climate change, we all know that is not going to go away anytime soon. For the last few moments that we have, we are going to talk about breast cancer awareness. Dr. Nixon, I know that we will not do breast cancer in itself justice in the few minutes, but certainly let's begin to talk about it. Starting though, I personally want to ask. It's a question that I have not been able to ask a doctor. Um, when it comes to breast cancer in men, the fact that so many people, not I cannot say that people don't know about it. We know people know about it, but the scarcity of information, and even the scarcity of speaking as it relates to that. So I know you will speak about the month generally and maybe what you all are doing, but I am asking please to say something about that in your in the discussion as we go along.
So I'm going to start there.
Okay.
Well, after I say this, breast cancer awareness is every day. That's as per all other diseases. So for the same reason, we'll keep our children from having sugar sweetened beverages because obesity is a challenge. It's the same reason we'll say, look, remember, I'm telling you to don't drink alcohol because alcohol predisposes young women to have breast cancer early.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a warning for Grenadian women. We drink a lot of rum. We drink a lot of strong rum. We consume a lot of alcohol. There's an increased number of women who smoke because it's so vogue. Right? And remember to speak of one other concept of smoking on issue of vaping at the end of this.
Oh, yeah.
The breast cancer is the number one cancer occurring in women in Grenada. It's also the number one cause of cancer death in women. Does breast cancer occur in men? Yes, because men have a little bit of breast tissue. It's very rare, but we probably have like 3 or 4 survivors in Grenada.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
So just as how we're asked to examine a breast, men, look every so often and see if you feel a little lump in there, because you can live with this.
Right.
Okay, let's see who is at greater risk for getting breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a woman, of course, right? Once you're a girl, you run the risk of getting breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
If you have family, like your mother, her sisters, your father's sisters, that kind of close, your cousins and stuff, have breast cancer, your risk is increased of having breast cancer. If you've had breast cancer before, and sometimes other like ovarian cancer, you have a greater risk. If you smoke tobacco or drink alcohol, and I'm going to say it again, young women who drink alcohol, like we have made it very vogue, are at increased risk for developing breast cancer. So think if your auntie and them have breast cancer, right? If you smoke and the other risk factors, it cannot add up, okay? It gets thicker, right? Also, women.
1 minute, Dr. Nixon, just for clarity. When you say drink alcohol or smoke, you're talking about habitual.
Yeah, you can have a drink.
Right.
And you shouldn't smoke.
Of course.
There's no habitual smoking.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can have a drink.
Yeah.
I'm talking about women who consume a lot of alcohol. Young women are consuming more and more alcohol. And that for me is very painful because I will not stop you from having a drink. But I see women, I drive through town and there's a place where people meet to drink. And I see a lot of young women who are in that age where they can. Women who don't exercise a lot. Women who are obese, meaning that you're 35% above your normal body weight, what is considered your normal body weight range. Women who have never had children, have not been pregnant, women who have never breastfed, or women who started their periods late and finished it early. Right? If your period started when you're 17, 18, because there are other hormonal influences, okay? Women who have used hormone replacement therapy, women who are exposed to some forms of radiation. Okay, so those are a lot of factors that put you at risk. I'm going to ask everybody to think, where am I?
Right.
Who am I? And I don't know if the producers can make a list and run it on the screen, the risk factors when this is being aired, so at least people can have a visual image of it. All right. And of course, women between the ages of 45 and 55. It does not mean that younger women will not have cancer.
Mhm.
Okay, and older women. As a matter of fact, my oldest patient was 90, a lot, that died of breast cancer.
Wow.
Right? What do we do? What do? We kind of need to figure out what your risks are. Does this run in my family? Does it not? Right? Um, am I one of those women who've never had children? I'm never breastfed. You understand? What are my risk? Right? How this thing runs. But every woman should consider that they're at risk of by mere fact that they are women.
A
And
woman, yeah.
this is a disease that affects women.
Mm.
What do we want to do? Stay within our usual weight, stay away from tobacco and alcohol, and screen, early screening. So
Mhm.
I will tell women by 25 years old, you should know how to examine your breast. It's a very
Right.
simple thing that everybody should ask their primary physician to teach them. I try to teach my female patients as often as I can. And when we do screenings in the community, I teach women. I mean, but you have to have reinforcement. They have to do it over. Come back, let me see how you do it. But at
Yeah.
least start. Become very aware of your breast. Women tend not to touch their breasts when they bathe, and because it's become such a sexualized organ, or it just belongs to the baby, right? Men will touch their breasts, but they're not. And incidentally, not even incidentally, realistically, most breast lumps are discovered by male partners.
Mm.
Okay?
Interesting.
So we
Yeah.
know that. So maybe we need to teach our men how to
Oh,
do
yeah,
breast exam,
maybe.
right? On their partners. Know
Yeah.
that those things enhance relationships and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So screening is important. What is screening? Learning to do a self breast examination or getting a clinical breast examination where somebody who is trained will do this for you.
Right.
Okay? Um, And then there are other methods, investigative methods like doing an ultrasound, which is kind of becoming the standard, or getting a mammogram done. We don't do mammograms. We try not to do mammograms on women under 40 because
Right.
often the breast tissue is so dense, you can get a lot of false positives or negatives. And
Mm.
you don't want to damage a patient's breast because you have to press so hard.
Right.
And of course, I was reading an article last week from the New England Journal of Medicine, I think, talking about MRIs becoming standard procedure for, because it gives you very finite evaluation. It's at 20 centimeters under this part, or two
Right.
centimeters, it's X
Right.
centimeters circumference. It's on the, it gives you, it's like using GPS,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
gives you the point and gives you the dimensions, right?
Right.
So I want to remind women that we don't need to be scared of what we don't know, or what we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of women do not examine themselves because they don't want to find out.
Right.
We know that the earlier you find out, the greater your possibility of living 30 and 35 years. Because as a lot of women whom I know here in Grenada, a lot of the survivors are living 35 and 40 years,
Right.
right, with breast cancer. So fear is not an option here.
Right.
If you don't want to do it yourself, ask somebody else, go to the nurse, go to the doctor, and ask them to do your breast examination. Or better still, get an ultrasound or a mammogram done if you're in the
Right.
age for either, right? Um, if you diagnose early, usually it's a matter of taking out the lump, making sure it's everything. Sometimes they give you chemotherapy, and then sometimes over 5 years, you've given medication. Remember, talked about women who already had breast cancer at risk for developing breast
Yes.
cancer. It can
Yes.
go to another part of the breast if it's not removed, and it can go to the other breast. So,
Right.
um, we have to prevent. You get medication for like 5 years to prevent the recurrence of the breast cancer.
Right.
If you're screened and you're negative, 2 3 years, you should do it at home. Your thing. At 2 3 years at the time they tell you have another mammogram, depending on your age. Sometimes genetic testing is done for women who live in families where they have a strong history of breast cancer. All right. Diagnosed with breast cancer. I don't know if I want to go there. I just want to know that I'd like Grenadian women to just be very aware of your own health, of your own self, fall in love with yourself. And I use my famous Grenadian word. Your tete is a very important part of you, of
Mhm.
who you are. We know women are afraid to discover, hoping that will go away. That's a place called denial. Very
Yeah.
bad address to have.
Yeah.
Very bad place to dwell. Okay. Um, because often our men kind of reject the women who have lost the breast, or they think the men will. Um, they feel they're not as adequate, they're not as sexually appealing or physically appealing, but so are dead people. They're not appealing,
Yeah.
right? If we can diagnose all of breast cancers early, since we kind of don't know at which point it will come on, or if we can do something definitive to take, to prevent it from coming on, we don't know that yet, right? If you can diagnose a breast cancer early, we can give women the life they want. They choose to live long, live happily, and live cancer free.
Yeah.
So this is a good time. I tell women do a breast exam every so often. Once you're not like between these, if you are having periods between day 10 of your cycle, which is the 10 days after periods has started, day 10 and 18 are good days for examining. There's not a lot of hormonal activity in your body anyway, so the breast is not engorged, right? Learn the technique. Somebody learn. It's easy, just needs practice. And get yourself do your breast examination. Let's say even every 2 months, right? Bathe and you stand up and you watch and you make sure you don't see reddening on your breast or scaly lesions around the nipple or bleeding or the breast looks distorted. But you can only know if your breast change if you look at it all the time,
Exactly.
right? It is important. Just like having a little zit on your face. I had one yesterday, right? See, but it's not there today. I can say, oh, it's gone. And
Exactly.
instead of saying, oh, you come
Yeah.
from, you weren't here yesterday. The more you get accustomed to your body, the more you know exactly how your body is behaving, what's going on here, right?
Mm.
Don't wait until your nipples start drip blood and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be afraid. I'm going to do like a Jesus thing. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, because that's the reason why you have people around who offer support and guide you through a healthy life to recuperate. And remember, the longer you wait, the costlier it is for
Yeah.
therapy,
Yeah.
right? The longer you wait, the more this lump is not going to stop growing because you wish that it were not there. It will
Mhm.
continue to grow.
Mhm.
So be not afraid. Just make sure that you go get yourself screened, right? I know they have some sessions. I know there's a walk in Grenville on the 28th. Cedro has a walk. There's a walk in Guelph, I think this weekend. There's a health fair in the Limes and Grand Anse at the School for Special Education,
Okay.
right? On this Saturday. And SGU is having a walk, another walk.
So all of these are for the month
For a
being
month.
held.
And SGU has a walk on the 28th, I think, from SGU down to Lansapine. Um, I want people to talk about this in their churches. Talk about it in your communities and talk with your girlfriends when you go walking. It has to be on the lips of everybody, that awareness when we talk about
Yeah.
it. And we probably have a ping day. We've been considering asking people to do a ping day in their offices and make a
Right.
donation to the Cancer Society.
Okay.
Right. So that will happen soon. We have to take
Okay.
a decision this weekend. So
All
then
right.
on last Friday, it'll be ping day.
Well, certainly we are going to, at least more than mention it. Once you share with us the information
Once,
on
yeah,
the
once
program, we are
yeah,
going
just
to
about coming to
definitely.
conclusion and do some logistics.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. Just by way, because we have just a few more minutes. I know in addition to cancer awareness, my goodness, October seemed to be the month of choice for every other
Everything.
whatever wants to be celebrated. So just as a reminder, I think everybody know of Child Month. I think we tend to forget the elderly. I remember some years ago I had the desk of the elderly being my guest for one of the one of the programs that we had then. So just remind us of some of the other um, causes and diseases and whatnot that is usually yeah.
So it's breast cancer awareness, it's Child
Mhm.
Month, And we have to, I'm not sure the theme, but the thing is we kind of need to support our children. Sadly, we lost 2 children tragically.
Yeah.
And there's another girl who died in this month. And it's really heartbreaking for me, right?
Yeah.
And when we lose our children, I'm going to ask parents, please type your children when you put them in your car. Harness them. There's a reason why I've been cursed by people who ask, please, please secure your children. They're too precious. They fly all over the place. They're
Yeah.
cute when they drive in the car, when the car not missing, when the
Yep.
car not moving. After that cuteness done, okay, they're precious.
Yeah.
They're very, very precious. And so I extend condolences to the people who've lost their kids, to the families who've lost their young children, grandchildren, whatever it is. But we still need to remember that our children are good to us, are precious. Think about bestowing as much love, avoiding abuse and neglect of our children, right? We'd have a healthy adult population if we nurture a healthy child population. You can't be telling children negative things and not feeding them, not clothing them, not protecting them, not taking care of them, and expect them to be stable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen.
I had my daughter who is a young teacher. I obviously cannot name the school, but she's a young teacher, and she teaches well, at the time when she told me that she was teaching the kindergarten, the like K5. And she kept coming to me very distraught because, of course, as a teacher as well myself, she would come to me for counsel and so on. She said, Mommy, I don't know what to do. I wish I could, should I talk to the parents of these children? Hear what her complaint was. She said the particular parent had 3 children in the school. They would give these children some big containers of food. She said, Mommy, the thing pack. And it's full of pepper. She said you could see apparently the particular culture of these people, they cook with a lot of pepper. And she said there was a day when she opened the container for the child, you could see like the food, maybe it was cooked the day before, so it's like it's out of froth almost. And she said the child came back the next, because of course she said she went to throw it away. And the child came almost traumatized. No, 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 don't throw it. Mommy will beat me. Mommy, she has to eat all. I said to her, I said, listen to me. I said, okay, if you have to tell your principal and because a private school to call social services, I said, because I don't care whatever else anybody will say, that is abuse. I said, abuse is not beating alone, cussing alone, and whatnot. I said, forcing a child at age 4 to eat a container of food that an adult can't even eat. Or I say, if an adult don't feel to eat, what do we normally do? Well, they don't feel to eat. So they just don't eat. But for a child to be traumatized thinking that when I get home, if I don't eat all what mommy put in the container or daddy put in the container, or if I don't eat everything that is in my lunch kit, and I'm raising that because, of course, we just mentioned the child month. I believe that in people's quest to, I don't know, take care of, I don't know how that to be taken care of, but I understand to an extent in that person's mind, in that parent mind, they figure that they're making sure they send the child with food.
They're providing, right?
They're providing. And so I can understand that to an extent, but I do believe that the lack of understanding, further understanding now as to what, in the first case, pepper don't good for nobody. At least that amount of pepper. She said you just smell the pepper when the food, and every day is more or less the same type of food, because as I said, you can know it's a cultural thing, because again, I will not state the ethnic group. But I'm just saying, and I'm raising it not to bash anybody. If I wanted to, then we'd have called names. But I want to say as well to parents who are listening to us out there, if a child, and we grew up in a culture where if you don't eat, well, if you don't eat it, you don't get in more, and all these kinds of crazy things. Let's be real now. If you as an adult didn't feel for something and you didn't eat it, I'm not saying that children should get to have their way.
You're not going to cook it. You're not going to prepare it, but you have that kind of power.
That's it, and I really believe it is unfair, and it's not about, oh, we taking for the children, and which is what some people might say, but I do believe that, and I keep saying it over and over, from a spiritual place, I would say there is no junior Holy Spirit. Just as how God could use an adult, he could use a child. So in the same, because it's a human being, it's just in a smaller body. It's a whole human being that is there. And I really am appealing to parents and guardians, grandparents, please, your children are whole persons. And the same way you have issues, you have stress, things bother you. There are days when you don't feel to talk about something. Even if I come to you and say, would you like to talk about it? You say to me, no, I don't feel to talk about it, Pastor.
Mhm.
Why is it that when our children say, right now, I don't need to talk about it, or the child gets quiet, oh, you rude, plata, that's madness, and I really do
Yeah.
believe that some of these cultural things, some of these ways we've embraced, it's not helping our children. It's not helping our children. I don't know what you can, possibly add to that, because I mean, I was speaking that place from the place about a pastor and another parent. I wasn't speaking about the food and thing from a medical place, but I was thinking that I was certainly right in telling her what I did.
Yeah,
So
because well, those are stressors, and our kids experience a lot of stressors. Our kids, this hot temperature is not good. They don't know how to deal with it.
yeah.
So there are a lot of things that we need to explain to them and need to support them through, right? It's the heat makes them irritable, so we have to understand when they start to behave bad, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
baby might cry more. Your 4-year-old might be don't, and even when you pick him up, he wants you to raise him. Yeah, it might be
Right.
hard, but it's been a hard day for him. He's hot. He's probably dehydrated, so
Mm-hmm.
we have to take into consideration all of those things.
I would like us to possibly, and I like what you said about the cancer awareness month, so-called month. There is no month for any of these things. Every
That's
day
life.
is the day it's life. So I would like us, please. I mean, there's so many topics. My goodness, we can talk about, because our health affects every part of our life. That is our life. But I would really like us, as you mentioned, stressors. I do believe that in many cases in our country, parents are not aware of how children. We don't get a manual when we make a child, and a lot of the times I believe parents are hitting and miss, especially as it relates to even nutrition, because they really don't know. And as you mentioned, stressors there, I don't think that a lot of parents know what are the stresses for the children. They just find, oh, the child getting on. I don't know, stop that.
Oh, you're rude.
Yeah, you're rude. Yeah, that is, and most of it, that is what it is. You're rude, not understanding what are some of the factors that might be affecting the child and why. So, like as you mentioned, that thing with the heat, a lot of people do not understand how best to deal with children. Let's be real, even our uniforms. I mean, like seriously, a long socks in this hot sun. Yes, I know it's a uniform, and I'm not bashing the school that I came from. I love my dear alma mater, but we have to be practical. And that's what I'm saying. I do believe that when you think about all these different things, we can see children being affected in many ways that we have ignored or maybe just don't know about. So I'm asking, please, for us to have such a program.
Yeah. So then and of course there's the elderly who already, because their age, we live in this environment of ageism. If you're old, you stay back, and but they have needs. They need support. We have a very large poor population. Elderly women are the poorest of the populations, FYI, because most of them never really had any serious income earning capacity. Most of them, I'm not saying none of them, I'm saying most of them.
Right.
And then having lost their children before them, or their children have their own families, having not had social security because they never worked formal jobs, and etc., they end up being the ones who are the neediest. So our older
Right.
women, we have to look out for them in particular,
Right.
right? And we have to make sure that they're protected physically, physically, physically. We tend to abuse old people, we disrespect
Yeah.
them,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
all of us forget that without them we wouldn't be here, because they have made ulterior sacrifices. The
And that
older
we get
population,
older.
the older population never had no bus to take to go up and to go to work. They have to, a lot of them had to walk to make what we have
Yeah.
be as easily accessible as it is today. So I think
Okay.
we really need to regard our seniors and try and help them. And again, it's hard for them. It's
Yeah.
really hard. And some of
Yeah.
them can't express it because they are nonverbal. So
Right.
let's remember to extend some love and support.
All right.
And each of them, it's just a matter of buying the groceries for them, or
Yeah.
go and
Just
collect
making
some
it
water.
easier.
Yes, just makes
Just
it less hard.
yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I remember as little children, my grandmother on holiday, if she find she found me playing too much. I'm the only girl and I'm the oldest, right? But she rungs up the whole posse. Come here, all the two idle. And she sent us and walk 400 yards to carry water from the river for this lady. I have to go make sure she drum pad full.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of walking.
By the time we reach there, you know the skillet that you hold. By the time we
Oh,
reach
yeah.
there, half of the water drop out.
Oh, thank God.
So
Yeah.
no, I walk gingerly because I know how to go back and carry no next bucket of water. On top of it, I was morbidly afraid of old people. morbidly afraid. That lady must have been a child of slaves, and she was very petite and very, very dark skinned and wore a big hat and a long skirt. And in our time, that's Mama Malady.
Mm,
But the truth is, I learned to make from just those actions. And
yeah.
sometimes Mama will cook and give us food to take for them. Just those actions made me appreciate the fact that we had to take care of everybody on
Yeah.
the life spectrum. So
Got you. Got you.
the other thing I want to talk about quickly. Oh, so we talk about the
Very quick.
thing,
Very quickly.
mental
We
health
have
month.
2 more minutes.
Mental health month.
Yes.
Please log on to PAHO wherever you can. There's a lot being said about mental health. And mental health is not mental illness. Mental health is that which keeps us in a state where we can do our normal functioning.
Yes.
If yours is a little impaired, don't be afraid to seek help. Okay?
Correct.
That's the place. If somebody else is impaired, don't put on any um tags on them. Okay,
Yes.
you can't say X,
Yes.
Y, and Z. We
Mhm.
all have to be compassionate. That's what I think. Mental health workers are the people I most respect within the spectrum of healthcare providers, because I've worked in mental health a long time, right? And I've worked with the worst of the worst. And you have to have a different being.
Whole
The people
approach.
who remain there permanently, you have to have a different being to get into the life and the mind and the existence of somebody who's delusional, somebody who does not identify himself as another human being.
Yeah.
You have to make him, you have to identify him and treat him as a human being. And
Yeah.
I wish we'd all grow to that part, because, he says, whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, Lord, when did I see you? When did I? No,
Mhm.
I never see you, right?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
representation of Jesus. Those are the things that calls us
Oh,
to
yeah.
take. The other thing I wanted to say quickly in my 30 seconds, the issue of vaping. We will talk about
Yes.
that coming down the road.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm staying here, and I want grandparents and parents and teachers and religious and whoever is looking at this to look into the issue of vaping.
Yep.
Vaping is a method, a very exotic method of
Mhm.
introducing into our bodies. It might look like a pen,
Mhm.
introducing into our bodies nicotine.
Yep.
Nicotine is a very addictive substance. So they give you strawberry flavor and
Mhm.
and
All kinds.
pumpkin flavor. And now that is Halloween coming up, they give you bubble gum flavor and all the stuff to attract the young population. Nicotine in vaping was actually meant to be a support for people who are coming off
Yep.
smoking.
Yep.
Like this, like using a patch. However, the big tobacco companies are the ones who
Oh, yes.
control the whole
Oh, yeah.
vaping industry in the world. And it's a means of making sure that our children become addicted to nicotine so they can buy
Mhm.
tobacco. They can
Yep.
buy tobacco again.
Yep.
Remember that tobacco has 700 toxins. Cigarettes have 700 toxins. The nicotine and the tobacco, plus all the crap they put in there to make sure your teeth don't get stained and your lung don't get stained, but that doesn't matter. We know that our young people have been dying. Young people in the world have been dying as a result because your lungs start to look like popcorn, because so much of your lung dies with the vaping of this hot air, right?
Mhm.
And it's not very, very well measured. So vaping must become a thing of the past for us in Grenada, and as is tobacco,
Right.
right? Because the nicotine, that's all it has, flavored nicotine. Your children, and they become addicted to nicotine, so they always holding up this stuff, and that's what the tobacco companies are doing. They're making sure that they sell their nicotine so that in the end you would buy the tobacco.
Yep. And but definitely, as a matter of fact, my daughter chose vaping as her SBA for English language. She's currently doing it. It is very, and she's 15, and she came and she's like, when she's doing her research, she showed me 1 or 2 videos, and she's like, Mommy, can you imagine that? I said, yes, I can imagine that, and she was all into the research. So yes, we have a lot to talk about as we go forward. Thank you so much again, Dr. Nixon. Conversing with you is always a breath of fresh air. I love being able to just interact and being able to bring current issues to life. Viewers and listeners, thank you very much for staying with us for another packed program. I'm going to see you next Friday, God's will. Dr. Nixon, thank you so much again for making your time available. God's blessings upon you and your
Thank
practice,
you. And on
and
your family.
just
Thank you.
just continue to be just be here to do this. I am really, really grateful, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers are as well. God blessings on you. God blessings everyone.
Bye, everybody.
You are my strength, strength like no other, strength like no other, reaches to me.